Good morning. I'm going to be doing a reading from the book, Being of Power by Baron Baptiste. There's nothing you need to change. There's nothing you need to fix. There's nothing you need to figure out. Here's why. There's a fundamental difference between changing form and total regeneration. We always want to fix something outside of ourselves, repair whatever we think is wrong. Maybe for a while that gives us some relief, but changing the form of something is temporary. Unless we transform our way of being from the inside out, it all ends up being and feeling the same because we're still showing up with the same mindset. As Albert Einstein said, we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. The only shift that can awaken and renew us is the one that comes from the transformation of our inner substance. When you undergo a transformation, the world is unchanged. Your environment, situation, and immediate circumstances are all the same. How you feel, see, listen, think, and act are what have been altered. And who you are and how you relate to the individuals and things in your life is what shifts. The beautiful thing is that by transforming the way you relate to life, circumstances around you will ultimately shift as well. We don't have to fix our problems. We want to recreate our perceptions of them. We don't need to fix, figure out, or do anything. There is no thing to do. The truth is right here, fully available to us in every single present moment. All we need to do is to open up to it, let it in, experience it, and let it be.
Really interesting. Paul McCartney wrote this song in 1969. And he was in a time of great despair and unhappiness, a lot of difficulties going on in his life, and he was really searching. He had the idea, he had the sense that the Beatles were getting ready to break up. Not only that, that searching his life took him to drugs, and this is all according to him, to drugs, to drinking, to clubbing. And what he said was he began living really hard and a very, very tough life, playing hard as well. And so he tells the story of when he was about 4, I think he was 14, and his mother passed, and he absolutely adored his mother. And so as a young boy growing up without a mom, it's very, very difficult. And one night, he said, between insomnia and sleep, he had a dream. And in this dream, it was 12 years after his mother passed, in this dream, his mother appeared. And he said there was her face, completely clear, particularly her eyes, he said. And she said very gently and very, very reassuringly, "Let it be." And so he woke up feeling really great. And he thought, wow, that was no coincidence, her visiting at this time of difficulty in my life with a message of, be gentle with yourself. Don't fight things. Go with the flow and just let things be, and they will work out in your life. So when he got out of bed, he said he started writing diligently, writing this song. What's interesting is most people think that when he talks about how Mother Mary comes to me, that is Jesus' mother. And the truth is, his mother's name was Mary. So he's really speaking of Mother Mary, his own mother, coming to him and giving him that comfort, that direction to relax and to let go and not to worry about all the struggles that were going on in his life. He said what was really interesting is that shortly thereafter is when he met Linda, and his life completely changed. And he was very grateful to his mother for bringing Linda to him. He felt that she had a hand in that. So I thought that was really a beautiful story. And a helpful one for us too, right? Because we can all change the way we see life, the way we respond to life. We can wake up every single day wondering, being excited about what fabulous things are going to take place in the next 24 hours. And we can learn to become comfortable with the not knowing how that's going to look, how that's going to show up. The Dalai Lama, of all people, and I love him. Is he just a cute little guy? Anyway, the Dalai Lama uses that phrase, I don't know a whole lot. And isn't that interesting? You would think, on the outside of that, the Dalai Lama, what do you mean he doesn't know? He knows everything. Well, what he knows is that he doesn't know. And the reason he doesn't know is because it leaves room for expansion. It creates that opening for that creative energy to move through, keeping that open mind. I don't know. If we believe that we already know everything, then we are closing off to all these possibilities that could come up for us, that could enhance our lives, that we could share with other people. How can we see anything differently if we already know how it's going to be? And yet we try, don't we? It takes greater strength to let go and to let life be than it does to hold on to something that isn't producing the result that we want. And yet we try. Personally, I think the reason it's so difficult for us to let life be is that we're so conditioned that we have to have answers to everything. Have you noticed that? Somehow we believe that having an answer to things gives us a sense of security. If we don't have a resolution to a problem or an issue that comes up, we almost feel threatened. And that comes from our need to know, from our desire to control and to predict our life circumstances. Now, here's a newsflash for you. In real life, we don't control or predict. Have you found that out? We have this idea that we must know the right way, the right answer. Not just a way, or not just a answer, the right one. God forbid we ever be wrong about something. Is that true? Our need to know, that need to know, is what keeps us in a limited frame of mind. It limits our sense of inquiry. It limits our sense of creativity, of curiosity, of all those possibilities. And it keeps us completely in our head, not in our heart. The way we can get comfortable with that not knowing is to get rid of the idea that there's something wrong with us, with our life, with the situation, with another person, with whatever, insert whatever here, right? Life is not wrong. I mean, really think about that. Life is not wrong. And how often during the day do we say, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with this? Why isn't that showing up differently? Nothing's wrong. It's all right. We get stuck, however, in that question of why or how. How can we fix it? How can we change it? How can we make it right? And when we do that, essentially what that is expressing doubt in ourselves, expressing doubt in our ability to come up with creative ways of living our life, creative solutions, doubt in our power to create. Have you ever wondered what might be available for you by moving beyond the idea of how or why? Have you ever really thought about that? We already have all that stuff that's in our head. It's already there. So we don't need to keep going back and retrieve that. We know what's there. Let's learn to go to our heart and pull from that intuitive knowing that's within us. Questions we can ask ourselves to go beyond our thinking mind into that intuitive space and opening up to our higher selves are this: what am I not seeing that's limiting me? What do I need to see that's new for me? And how can I change the way that I'm perceiving a situation? They say, I love them, they say, ask and you shall receive. And guess what? It really does work. Asking questions of your higher self, of God, of Source, all that is, helps you to surrender to that higher power. And gives up, and helps us to give up that insistence to do things our way, the right way. Baptiste tells us, give up your need to know what's next and just get curious. Be in inquiry and open to a breakthrough, even if you don't know what that is at this point. Is there fear behind that? Do you feel any fear? Or do you get excited about the idea of a breakthrough, of something manifesting in your life that you've been wanting, that you've been working toward? Just be open. Now, as for wanting to change something or fix something outside of ourselves, I say good luck with that, right? Because I know without question that every single one of us have tried that at some point, at some level. And that's what Sue was reading about. Truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to fix, and there's nothing to figure out. If you believe that, if you can really spend time with it and know that, my gosh, there's so much power in that. It's amazing. We can feel renewed simply by altering the way that we relate to life without changing one thing in our physical reality. Do you believe that? I absolutely believe it. And I believe it by experience. Now, many of you know that in January, our dog of 13 years made her transition, which was a difficult time. Well, at the end of April, I had this really bright idea. I like to blame Greg for it, but he won't take the heat. We got a puppy. Do you know that's like raising a child? Anybody remember that? Yeah. I had forgotten. It had been a long time. So I'm going to fast forward to right now. I'll move past the shoes and the blankets and the rugs that have been destroyed, and I could go on, right? And we're going to move to right now. So we decided we need a dog trainer. That way she won't eat stuff. That way we can walk her instead of her walking us. Interesting concept. Alan and Anita had referred this to somebody whom we love, by the way. Good thing he's got a sense of humor. And a lot of patience. But what he was telling us is when we were walking the dog, or the dog was walking me, was you have to understand that she is responding to you. She is responding to your anxiety, to your frustration. And the more you get this way, the more she's going to respond. So he said, if you go into that calm, assertive place, then she's going to respond to that too. Have we ever heard that? As within, so without? Mm-hmm. It's true for dogs too. She does respond to our energy. When I'm frustrated and anxious, so is she. When I'm calm, okay, it's not all that much, but when I'm calm, so is she. It's amazing. And yet, it's something that I know. It's something that we teach. What I know is this: working hard and trying hard doesn't help. The more frustrated I would get with her leash, the more resistant she became. And then I had to learn a lesson from my beautiful daughter that said, Mom, when I got frustrated, I sat down, I petted her, we breathed together, I relaxed, and the walk was perfect. I thought, okay, if it works for her, it's going to work for me, right? So I'm getting like this, right? And how many times do we do that in life? We gear up, we get ready. But the moment I centered myself and became calm, so did the dog. And what a great lesson for me. And that's true with every circumstance in her life. How are we looking at it? How are we seeing it? How are we reacting or responding to it? I did realize that working really hard and trying wasn't going to cut it with her. I needed to be, and there's a big difference. Having faith in the fact that she was going to behave the way I wanted her to behave wasn't the answer either. It wasn't the answer because I needed to do the work. I couldn't just have faith it was going to happen as if it were some kind of magic. Having faith in my ability, absolutely. It's not necessary for us to fight to overcome anything. It is only necessary for us to recreate our perception, to understand that we don't always know. We simply don't always know, and be okay with that. Open up to the possibility, open up to the creativity. The other lesson I learned was this: we can't really give up anything or let go until we have taken ownership of that experience. All day long I could blame the dog. And in reality, it was mine. I had to give up that story. I had to give up that story because it was old and it wasn't working. I didn't want to allow that story to define me, to define her, or to define our relationship. So I have to let go of that. Now, there are two ways of being in a situation: reaction and survival, or trust and possibility. When we let go of limiting perceptions and stuck energy, which is that survival and trust, we can then open up to grace, to trust, and to possibility. And that's where we want to be. It isn't magic. We have to take the steps. We have to use the tools we have and do the work. And as we embrace situations that appear the way we don't want them to, the dog pulling me instead of me pulling the dog, for instance, acceptance of what is and what isn't takes over. This is the way it is. It is this, it isn't that. And that is where our power to change our perception lies. In that acceptance. That's when that transformation can happen. And it happens with grace and with ease and with very powerful results. Lao Tzu said, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. If I let go of all those stories that I tell myself about who I am, who might I be? When we want to move into transformation, we do that first by listening a little bit differently. Listening from that space of openness. Listening from I don't know rather than I already know it all. And transformation's 3 steps. The awareness, the acceptance, and the declaration. First we have to become aware of how we're reacting. Maybe create that. Turn that into a response instead. Becoming aware that when my dog is frustrated, or when I'm frustrated, so is my dog. becoming aware that that is what is exactly happening. We empower that whenever we oppose it. So the more I resisted that, the more she did what she needed to do. Then we need to accept what's going on, embrace what's going on. Let go of judgment. Don't call it good or bad, right or wrong. It isn't about that. This is what's going on. Accept it. And now how do you want to have it show up differently? By declaring it is differently. By saying, I am now fully aware of my frustration, I let it go. It isn't, I'm going to let it go, I want to let it go, none of that. I have let it go. I have let go of my attachment to the frustration, to the anger, to the whatever is happening in that moment. Now, I'm not telling you it's one and done, right? I wish. Because 2 hours later when I took her for another walk, guess what? Right? But then I remembered, and then I had to come back. It's about constant awareness. This is a lifelong path of renewal, rejuvenation. And our work is to embrace the strength that we all have within and welcome with loving open arms to what life brings, to what life has in front of us, and to learn to be gentle with ourselves through that learning process, and to realize that every single experience we have in life has great value. And even if we want to give up, to keep moving forward, to take those positive steps in that direction. Not everything in life, this is my personal opinion, not everything in life is meant to be perfectly understood right here, today, in this moment. So live, let go, learn what you can. Don't waste energy worrying about things that you can't change. Instead, focus on what you can change. It seems simple enough, right? If you can't change something you don't like, you can change the way you look at it. And that changes. Life only moves us in one direction, and that is forward. So let go of the old. Make room for the new. Your future awaits your decision. So this morning I want to leave you with this thought. Love is all that is left when we get all of the other junk out of the way. And in that space of love, all things are possible. And so thank you for being here while I share this truth as I understand it.